I'm running my PEX tubing. Got two lines coming from the front, that'd be the kitchen sink. Come back here, my tee off for the bathroom, and go straight back to the box I built on the back because the cold water feed will be there and also the hot water. So both of these will go there, but they'll also tee off right here. And I gotta decide which route I want to take. I'm gonna go ahead and hook it all up, even though the bathroom's coming off. I'm gonna put pressure on it and make sure it doesn't leak. And when we go to move, I can just cut this PEX pipe real easy and I'll put a connector on it when I get there. So do some head scratching here.
Okay, now.
Okay, so for the few people that watch my videos that have never used PEX pipe, it's plastic pipe. I'm using plastic connectors. There's brass ones also. And there's about 3 different types of locking rings. I use these. I don't know that one's better than the other. So this is really easy. You put the ring on there, put the pipe on, make sure the ring is kind of centered over the joint, and you got a special tool right here, and it crimps them. And you can't crimp them halfway because you can't get the tool off until it's 100% crimped. So it's kind of like almost idiot proof. So you just put the little tool there and you grab that little stainless steel ring. Squeeze, and now that it's squeezed all the way, it'll let go, and that's it. And they don't leak, or I've never had one leak. So once again, I'm laying under my trailer, but this could possibly be the last time until after we move it, because hot water PEX piping done, cold water PEX piping done, 120 volt wiring done a long time ago. Trailer brake wiring, done. 12 volt on the starboard side, done. 12 volt on the port side, done. Trailer lights, done. At least the part under here. I think I might not have to get under here again until we get to the country. The drain pipes will be hooked up when we get there because I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. But all 3 of them are poking out the floor at a convenient height. Wheel bearings repacked, brakes checked. We are pretty much ready to roll as far as this part goes. I still got windows to deal with. Getting close though. So I bragged on this PEX stuff as being idiot proof, but I managed to grab a clamp crooked and not really crimp it, just kind of fold the top over. I was up right underneath here, couldn't see what I was doing. And of course it didn't hold, it leaked, but I got it off. I got another one on there, and now we're good to go. Working on the drain for the kitchen sink. I didn't want to come straight down because it puts it like, that just screws up all the storage. So I put it toward the back, and I'm gonna have to whop this pipe to get it to hook up, which I don't think will be a big deal. I can always buy a couple of 45s. I did my best measurement to make sure I wasn't gonna drill through a floor joist. It's kind of confusing. At the last minute, I stopped and used this 1/4 inch bit to drill all the way through. And sure enough, I was gonna hit a floor joist. So glad I did that. Moved it back and drilled my hole. This one from the top and the other one from the bottom because my hole saw is not that long. So if I come straight down, I need 7.5 inch offset. That's a lot. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to bend that much. I probably got to go buy some 45s. Same issue in the bathroom sink. If I come straight down, it just ruins the storage. So I'm gonna go back in that corner. I'm gonna drill a hole with the 1/4 inch bit, climb underneath and see if it's okay. And then if it is, I'll drill with the big bit. So the kitchen sink drain and the bathroom drain went back together with 2 45s. It gives us a little more cabinet space, not a whole lot. This is a propane instantaneous hot water heater. I put it here in a foundry so I could have hot water, maybe take a shower when it was colder. I got it hooked up to natural gas, so it probably wasn't gonna work anyway without a propane tank. But before I could even try it out, we had a hard freeze and something inside it broke and water started leaking out of it. So I just bypassed it and it's been sitting there for a couple of years. I'm gonna take it down and open it up and see if I can't fix the leak, because this will be perfect for heating water in the teeny house camper thing. So we're gonna operate on it. So I've removed a lot of screws, and some of them will maybe never go back because they were so hard to get to. But still couldn't get the core out of the white case, but I got it propped up with the screwdriver, and I got my crack sanded down to shiny copper. And I'm gonna get my, I think I'm gonna start out with an electric soldering iron and see if I can't do it with that. If that doesn't work, I'll get the propane torch. But I'm gonna try with electric soldering iron, see if I can't solder this up.
Not very pretty, but I was pretty confident I had that little hole fixed. But the control valve was cracked also, so we ordered a new one. Got a new one, came in the mail.
Nobody gifted it to me. I paid for it myself, and it is the new hot water heater. Because the other one is more like a sprinkler than a hot water heater. Okay. Shower head. Just bought one of those. Stuff. Okay, sure is pretty. I gotta read the instructions. I don't know whether it goes, that'll ain't the room. I'm hoping I can put this inside that little box instead of outside that little box. Okay, got the light on. It's early in the morning, but I'm gonna mount the propane heater. I got two boards. Put one across here and one at the bottom for the mounting holes. I got a 90 for the vent. I'm gonna go straight out the side, and then eventually I'm gonna go up the corner here above that upper window to make sure I don't ever get CO2 coming in the upper window. But right now I'm just gonna 90 out and make sure the thing works. And I got the water to hook up. I got a propane tank. I just bought a new hose. It's very short. I hope it's long enough. All right, let's screw these things on there and get it up on the wall. Okay, we got the unit hanging by a screw or two, and I got the 90 on top, and I got the circle. Get out of the shadow. Got the circle marked, so I'm gonna take the 90 off. I'm gonna find the center of that circle, punch a hole through, draw a circle on the outside, and cut it with the jigsaw. I could cut it in here, but there's just no room to move the jigsaw around. So we'll mark it on the outside and cut it from the outside. So I got the water hooked up to the new hot water heater from relocating it from the old hot water heater that leaked. And I got pressure on it and I bled it. Everything's lovely. I'm gonna hook up the gas now, and it should come on. I'm not sure about the batteries. It didn't seem to fit very well. It didn't call for a type of battery I'm familiar with. It called for a type of 1 battery. So I don't know if I have my batteries right or not. And of course the propane line doesn't fit. It's a different size. I don't know what that means, if it's a different pressure setting or what. Okay, a little frustrating. I just threw away a bunch of propane stuff too, probably what I needed. Okay, I have water pressure on both sides. If I loosen these, I get a leak. I got gas here. If I loosen this, I smell gas. Got my 2 batteries in here. They're brand new. I believe I have them in the wrong way, the right way. This thing says 88 degrees. It doesn't seem to matter whether I have the batteries in or not. It doesn't seem to change. And I can run the hot water off and on 20 times and nothing happens. The flame has never come on. The flue has never gotten warm. I don't know what to do. So this little unit works on differential pressure. When you turn on the hot water, it uses the pressure differential between the cold water and the hot water to manually open the gas valve and to tell the computer to light the igniters with those 2 little batteries. And the plumber forgot that he had made this loop on the outside of the bathroom when I was pressure testing the PEX tubing in the walls. This is where the future shower is going to go. So since we had a loop, we had no pressure differential and we had no hot water. And I figured it out. I separated these 2 pipes and everything's lovely. It works. This is one of the 2 waste tanks that came with the camper. And I believe this was the gray water tank, although it doesn't make any difference. I cut off these fittings and I need my macerator pump to go in there. And I think if I can get this out of there, that's a glued fitting, and put in a female adapter, I think I can thread it right in. Otherwise, maybe take this whole plug out. It's got a pipe clamp on it and some kind of pookie, and just get a new fitting, but this one's offset, which is kind of nice. If I get a new one, it's going to be concentric, and I'm going to lose a lot of. So I got the big fitting out of the hole. It looks like it was just set in mastic, and it had a hose clamp around it. Had to cut the hose clamp, but no problem. So I want to get out this piece of a adapter or whatever it was. It looks like it was maybe epoxied in. So I'm gonna go put it in the vise and get the saw and whack on it a little bit. Try to get it out, and I might be able to save this big piece. Otherwise, I'll just fabricate something new. This is the water tank that came with the travel trailer that we demoed to get the frame. It's been sitting in the back. I kind of cleaned it out, hosed it out, hooked up some fittings, and filled it with water with a lot of Clorox. And it doesn't appear to be leaking. I know there's a little wet spot there, but when I first filled it, this whole area was wet from a leaky hose, and it's drying up. So this is probably going to be our water source when we first move the trailer, until we can either pay somebody to drill a well or I drill a well. So simple as it can be, 12-volt pump. It's going to hook up to one of the hose bibs. This is the fill line. I don't have a hose for it. This is a vent. That's everything I need. I'll probably just set it on the ground under the trailer for now. I'll probably bolt this to a board, let it sit on the ground. It'd be quieter. So I need to go buy a hose for this so I can fill it, which I'm not sure how I'm going to fill it or from what, but we'll figure that out. I need to buy a 12-volt battery to operate the 12-volt system. Let's go shopping. So I put this hose bib for the specific reason of hooking up the 12-volt water pump to get water into the structure. I'll just use a double-ended hose. It turned out I got it hooked up to the hot water side, which is wrong. So I'm doing another one right here, and that's okay, because that will let me bleed down the system when we leave and it's cold. So I'm up here in tight quarters, but I'm gonna put this bib on, and I'm gonna tie it into this line right here, which is cold. And I'm glad I'm using PEX and not rigid threaded. Gee whiz. Okay, I'm not sure where I'm going with this, but I wanted to swivel over the bathroom sink because the sink's so small. I just thought it might be handy. And I had this and a few other junk kitchen faucets. So this has a swivel, and this screws into this. And there's a mating surface in there for this O-ring. So I cut this off, was on here. I put it on my little lathe and kind of trued it up a little bit. And it's some sort of aluminum product. I tried welding on it, and I cannot. So I cleaned up this whole piece of copper. I'm gonna put this in the groove. I'm gonna epoxy that together, and I think that'll be strong enough. And then I can solder copper fittings after that. So my first solder joint. Now this part that's epoxied on has plastic parts in it. Plus it's epoxied on, so I don't want it to get too hot. So I'm gonna wrap it in a wet rag and just see if I can keep the heat down here to get that solder melted. I don't know, we'll try. On my last half of my last valve, and I think I'm doing okay. Keeping the valve from getting too hot with the rag that's wet. And I'm mostly heating the copper pipe, just a little bit on the valve, and I'm pointing the flame away. Trying not to melt the plastic valve parts that are in there. I think we're all right. So this is what I ended up with, and it was unanimously voted that it was too ugly to stay, so it's gone now. And my homemade faucet gave way to a Home Depot faucet, and it actually looks a whole lot nicer. And I got the tiles grouted, and I made a mess with my paint, so it would have to be repainted. The same with the drain here. This is our potty for now. Playing with my solar cell here. Inside with just some fluorescent lights. I just hooked the voltmeter to the 2 wires. There's only 2 wires coming out of it. Can't be too complicated. And I got 0.6 volts. So I'm gonna take it outside, I'm gonna wash it. It's a cloudy day, but I'm assuming the voltage should be higher than 0.6 with it outside and clean. Let's see. So I hosed it off front and back. Let's see what we get now. I don't think I'm gonna be able to hold the phone at the same time I hold the voltmeter. Oh my goodness. Look at that. 18 volts. And it's cloudy as all get out. Man, I don't know what this thing will do on a sunny day. This is pretty incredible. I don't think I need two of them. I'm just going to use this one. This is the solar cell mounted on the bathroom roof. I had some fiberglass angle. It actually had a bump on both sides. I ground the bump off and it fit perfect. It's bolted through the aluminum and screwed to the roof. And I got some padding to make sure they don't leak. I didn't like doing that, but that's the way I did it. So it makes electricity. It's magic. The solar cell is wired to the little controller, and like everything I do, I had some trouble. I thought the controller was bad. I bought a new controller. Turns out my new battery was bad. It was like a month old and it was bad, but Walmart stepped up to the plate and swapped it out, gave me a new one. So I got an extra controller now because there was nothing wrong with that one. But anyway, it's kind of a cool thing. Right now it's putting the battery as 13.7 volts. I don't know if you can see that. There's no amps going to here because it's going through the battery, and the solar cell is making 15 volts. So I got 15 volts coming in, 13.7, or I got, it's hard to read, 16.8 volts coming in, and a third of an amp. I don't know exactly what's on. I didn't think anything was on. And the battery's reading 13.7 volts, and it's been working great since I got a new battery, but it gave me some heartache in the beginning. So now I need to remount this. This is my little water pump. Right there. It's hooked up to the little water tank. It's certainly not adequate for most people. And it's really not adequate for us, but it lets you at least wash your hands, wash dishes when we get to spending the night, and taking a quick shower. My wife and I traveled around on my wooden boat for 14 years almost, and we had the same setup on the boat. You just got to be careful and not overuse the water. So this works great. The little water pump, you turn on. It built up pressure that fast. So now it takes a little while to get the air bubbles out, but that's the water pump. The other switch here is the macerator pump, which is pumping my gray water. I don't have any black water yet. 40 feet up into the trees. And the gray water so far just consists of water that I wash my hands with, so it's not gross or anything. Now this bunch of fittings here is almost embarrassing. I bought a P-trap for the kitchen and a P-trap for the bathroom. That's the tub, and this is the sink. And ended up putting the kitchen P-trap back here, which was a mistake. It should be right under the kitchen so you don't smell whatever stagnant water will collect in the pipe. So I put another P-trap there. And right here is where a vent's gonna come out and rise up above the roof. I haven't finished it. Don't really need it now. It's just gray water in the tank. And when we get water, when we get a well, and we get a commode, I'm probably gonna use the same setup. And I'm probably gonna use the macerator pump. And I'll probably keep pumping it into the woods until it becomes a problem. If we lived here, it would definitely become a problem. But if we're gonna be here, you know, one night a week at the most, I don't think it's going to be a problem, a smell problem. It's going to biodegrade all by itself. But if it becomes a problem, we'll put it in a septic tank. The macerator pump, because it chops it up so fine, it will decompose quicker. There'll be more, I don't know how you say it, there's more of the biodegradable molecules exposed to air, bacteria, etc., etc. So it's going to degrade faster. Even if I put it in a septic tank, I think I'll keep the macerator pump. And another advantage is it's a pump. So if I use a septic tank with a gravity pipe, the pipe has to slope at a continuous rate. I have to use 3 or 4 inch pipe, so it won't get clogged up. It needs to slope from here all the way to wherever the septic tank is. With a macerator pump, I can use a 1 inch pipe. It doesn't have to slope. It can be up, down, around, circles. It doesn't matter. This pump's going to push it through there. And it just makes the installation so much easier. Of course, you do have a pump to maintain, but they're pretty trouble-free. Again, I had one of these on my boat, so I'm pretty used to these. So that's the plumbing system. It's set up more like a camp now, more like a camper instead of a house, but we'll get there. Oh yeah, a big disappointment. The state of Mississippi does not allow anybody to drill a well except for a licensed well driller, because I've been researching. I was getting ready to start drilling a well. A little disappointing. I wanted to try it. It seemed like a challenge. I've done lots of research. I was ready to go, but that ain't happening. This ground wire needs a ground rod.
So punching the ground rod in, I don't know if you want to say it's the old-fashioned way, but without an impact driver. The key is to not hammer it in so far where it gets stuck, because then you can't go down and you can't go up, and I almost did that here. So the trick is just to keep the hole slimed up with water. Just fill it with water, drive a little bit. When it gets real hard, stop, pull it out, put some more water in, and you do it over and over. And it was 10 feet long, and I got it all the way down without any major effort. So now we have a ground. I really, if it wasn't for the receptacles on the exterior of the teeny home, I really almost wouldn't worry about a ground, because there's really no way you really need a ground. But since we have receptacles outside, and it's possible that you could be in the yard standing in water, barefooted, and there's salt in the water and all that other stuff it would take, it's possible. So I'm going to go ahead and ground it, especially since we'll be running off a generator, which is you're using ungrounded electricity when you're running off a generator.